Well, I was born on the outskirts of West Helena, and I got married and moved to West Helena, and I've been here ever since. In this spot, I've been here 65 years on this spot, but I did live up on Ashley before I lived down here. And of course, all where the project is, we owned that. We made cotton and corn and raised hogs and chickens and geese and ducks and turkeys and everything. So when I moved on this spot, I had 3 children. Two girls. I started cooking when I was 8 years old. My family would go to the field, and there was me and my sister there, and my baby brother. We were too young to go to the field. I remember I was 8 years old, and I always made my own garden. They left me on the spot. And I was 8 years old, the first meal I ever cooked. I made vegetable stew. And I just felt so bad. My mother would go to the field and then have to quit at 11 o'clock and cook dinner for all of us. Then go back to the field that afternoon. So I took it on and cooked the meal. When I cooked it and she came to the house and I had baked the cornbread and everything turned out all right, they made me cook after that. So I had my job cut out for me. I didn't have to go to the field, but cook and feed everybody. And I had enough for everybody because I had watched her. So she could cook for I don't know how many people. And she was a good cook. So my babies didn't the rest of them think about that, but I started cooking at 8 years old, and I've been cooking. I got grown. I would take the children when we get through with our little crop here where we farmed all this where the project here. Then I would take them out day laboring, and then we would. That's how I had got my money. We'd go to the field, and the kids, those that was large enough to go, and I had a good friend that would keep the small ones for me, and she would keep the smaller kids, and then I would pay her so much of what we made because at one time, they weren't paying but $4 then in a day per person, and sometimes I had so many kids back then. So I always paid the lady that took care of them for me, and then took them shopping, whatever they needed, their school clothes, their books, and whatever they needed. Well, it wasn't too much left, but we had accomplished what we went to do. So in that, it's been a hard, rugged life, but I haven't felt sorry about any of it. And when I come to the house, I would always buy up material, make clothes for the children. I made a few shirts, a few pants, dresses and slips and everything for the children. I'd come to the house at night and I'd cut out so many garments tonight, go back to the field the next morning, and then come back at night and sew so much on, so much as I could. Go back to that, and you had to wash diapers for your baby and everything. On the other hand, you had to come in and milk the cows and do all of that. But it just made me a stronger person. My family out there, but I never kept them out of school. When school started, they didn't have to go to school. And so in that, everybody finished high school but one son, and he got to the 12th grade, and he got bullheaded and thought he was grown, and he didn't want. So his dad was doing carpentry work, so he had to go with his dad to work. He left here and went to Detroit, and he is retired now because he's 66 years old. But at the time he got in with the Urban League, he can build anything, outside, inside, or he can do any kind of decoration. He's a carpenter, and that's what he done. Picking cotton. We go pick cotton every day that we could, and then they had to go to school. A lot of the kids were going to school. The janitor at the custodian at West Side School hired me to assist him in working. And I would go up there in the morning at 8:30, sweep that hall, go right down across the field there, across the road over there, and pick me up a sack of cotton, come back, and at 1 o'clock sweep that hall again, go back in the evening and pick another sack of cotton, and then go to work up there to clean the school at 3 o'clock. So I've been a busy person all my life. But you had to do something to make it with your kids. And to teach them honesty. Don't go steal nothing. Work for what you get. I don't believe in trying to beat nobody out or nothing. Just go and make your own living. Don't care how hard it is. That's your way. That's the best way you can do your thing. So that's how we made it. I always went to the schoolhouses where my kids were. But at that time, all our teachers were black and everything. I stayed president of the PTA for, 20 years, I believe. I remember. And one incident. At the time, Jesse Porter was the mayor of West Helena. And I sent my son. I had a daughter at Ittabina, Mississippi, in college. She had a band scholarship. That's how she went there. All that went to college, and of course, all of them has gone to college, but 2 or 3. The others took trade. They all went, and he went. He came home. He was in the Army. He came home, and I sent him to Ittabina, Mississippi. My daughter had called me and said she needed $50, and she needed the next day. Well, I waited till the next day to get to Ittabina, Mississippi. It'd be too late. So I sent him that day. I said, you take this down to your sister at Ittabina. So he did. And then night came, and he hadn't come back, and I got a little worried. So at this time, I had a little daycare center at my church up here out in Temple. I kept a few kids, and I was worried about him, and I had all those children up there because I didn't have time to tell the folks not to bring the kids. But anyway, we had a teacher here, then he was a coach, and he was a distant cousin of mine. When I seen him come on the church lawn, I knew he knew something about what my son was because they were real tight. And he come up there and he said, Kaya said, come get him. I said, come get him where? So I sent that boy to Ittabina. He knew I don't drive. He said he over there in jail. Come get him. So I said, in jail? I said, yeah. And I didn't ask him whether he was in Mississippi in jail. I didn't think that far. Or in Helena in jail. So it was a lady across the street. I asked her, would she come over and sit with the children till I go, because I had to go see about my son. So when I started back out I just didn't know which way to go. The bus, we had a bus running, then I saw him on the bus, and I flagged it down, and he stopped at the next one and got off. And he said he had a carnival in Helena. And this little black boy had threw a ball and won some prizes. And the man didn't want to give them to him. And he said a bad word. Oh, hell yeah, get the boy what he wants. Say he wanted, you know he wanted. And he said, what you got? Is it your brother? I said, no. He said, it's my brother. So you just come close to this, and you won't have no teeth, because I'm going to knock him out. And so instead of him leaving the carnival grounds, he stayed there, and the man called the police on him. That's what they put him in jail for, about that. But anyway, I thought that was a good gesture for him to try to take up for the child, for him to get what he had won, instead of the man trying to hold it. I always tried to pay my debts, and I always tried to see that my kids done the right thing. Mm-hmm. Now, you know, nobody's perfect, so I'm not saying we're a perfect family. Nobody's perfect, because I done beat so much tail. It's not even funny. Trying to get you to stay on the right path. And at nighttime, my husband was a minister. At nighttime, to keep the kids, the big boys, teenage boys, when they got big, out of the street, to challenge some of that energy, I would have a religious program. Everybody had to do something on this program. By the time we got through with the program, we were so knocked out we had to go to bed, see. And that's the way I corralled them in. All right, you're going to sing a solo, you're going to do a speech, you're going to do a talk, you're going to tell a story, everybody going to do something. And that's the way I kept them around me. We sit outdoors with a smoke to keep the mosquitoes off and one thing and another. So that's the way we made it. So when Mark come along, we were doing a little better because so many, you know, they had left and got jobs and was sending back money to help me. So, so big family. I said this, okay, if you got a child and he comes here and I got all this junk sitting around here, I'll have the child to know, this is my house, this is my junk, you're not supposed to touch it unless I say you touch it. If you do, you keep on touching it, it won't stop when I say so, you're going to get it because I'm going to slap you down. Mm-hmm. So in that, Mark's little boy, he don't bother none of this stuff. He comes here, I put that train down there for him to play with. He comes in, and if he starts, I say, Anthony, you can't play with that. Anthony, leave it alone without any argument, because he knows nothing else happens. But you can sell anything if you go at it right, instead of just going to bully somebody into doing something. I never had no, you know, if somebody come and tell me my kids done wrong, I handle them for it. One way or the other, I handle them for it, because you're not supposed to butt up against grown people. Go home and tell your parent what the grown person done to you, and then he would straighten it out if it's going to be straightened out. Don't you try to straighten it out. Mm-hmm.